Bleh. Bleh. Woo! Okay. We're ready, everybody, for more Ace Attorney. The Great Ace Attorney Adventures. We're on episode 4, The Adventures of the Clouded Kokoro. The Dokodoko. The Korokoro. So let's go ahead and get going. Let's get mousin'. Episode 4, The Adventures of the Clouded Kokoro.
I begin to think, Wilson, said Sholmes, turning his head languidly in my direction, that there is more to this case than that which we have observed. Indeed, that there may be another part to this story that we are yet to discover.
Mayhaps?
His eyes wandered, following the steam rising from his cup of herbal tea, leading him to the distant memory of that snowy evening. To the young lady collapsed on the pavement
Hey, the letter
along
10, how
Briar
you
Road,
doing? Glad to see that
and
you're
to
here.
the knife
Pleasure
in her
having you
back.
back again. I'm
Lit
starting
in the
case
soft
4.
glow of gas lamps, a most extraordinary scene had been set. And under the cover of a light fog, the curtain had risen silently on the insoluble mystery of our invisible killer.
Well then, more murder, more fun. 19th February, 9:47 a.m., British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. Did you sleep last night, Mr. Nandoto? No, not at all. It was an enormous hotel, wasn't it? The rooms were so luxurious. I felt like we were staying in a palace. Of all the gas lights twinkling, it was brighter than day, even in the middle of the night. What about the Norse beds? After my time on the SS Bruya, I wasn't going to waste a single inch of that space. I spent the entire night rolling from one side to the other with a mattress. Oh yeah, it really was that sort of night you could only dream of normally. Except, when I learned we owed £3 for the room, that dream quickly turned into a nightmare. Oops, sorry about that. The building was so impressive and the entrance was so inviting, I just wandered in without thinking. A lodging house in Japan, that sum of money would put a roof over your head for a full year. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't help my tears when we were presented with the bill. I really am sorry. Well, never mind. We must find some more affordable lodging straight away, though. If we're not careful, our entire stipend will be used up in 10 days or less. London is a scary place. Oh, who but this? It's him again. Oh yes, well. Good morning to you, Lord Chief Justice. We have come to report on the outcome of the trial at the Old Bailey yesterday. Still, the sound is amazing. Isn't bad eyelid. Even the presence of an imposing Lord Strongheart. Yes, I believe you had a very comprehensive initiation into British courtroom practices. Oh yes, it was very eye-opening. Thank you. And in accordance with your instructions, Lord Stringheart, Mr. Naruto performed his duty to the end. Yes, I've already been appraised of events. You conducted a remarkable defense. You may consider the test passed. Oh? No longer are you a student of the Empire of Japan. You may henceforth claim to be a full-fledged lawyer. My country is delighted to welcome young talent from such a remote eastern land. Thank you very much. So I'm a lawyer now. Now, in view of your new appointment, I have a fresh case in mind for you. I'd like you to take it on at once. I trust that won't be a problem. Another case? already? Nothing trains a lawyer better than practical experience. I'm sure I don't sense dissatisfaction, do I? It's just that yesterday's trial ended unusually. I haven't quite come to terms with it. What's to come to terms with? The man was cleared. What more were you hoping for? The culpability of the defendant has not, at the present time, been established by this court. Consequently, the jury will be required to prepare a judgment. Well, Lord Van Zeeks, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And as for you, my dear fella, I couldn't have asked for a better defense. I just can't help wondering if Mr. McGlynn really was innocent. Mr. Naruto, it's just that I never managed to assert the truth. And then the trial ended. Well, you needed let it trouble you for a second longer. Sorry? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart? Mangus McGlynn passed away immediately following the trial. No. So it was him! He was in the thing! In the end of the trial, there was a fire for the whole thing. And he was in it. Yo! What, Mr. McGlynn is... dead? I have 19 minutes and 41 seconds until the next engagement. Time enough to talk. Okay. Let's present our little armband. Lord Strongheart, may I show you this? To accept this item, issue a receipt, examine it thoroughly, and make a formal statement of my findings. Would require something in a region of 24 seconds of my time. Sorry? Does the item warrant 24 seconds of my time, Mr. Naruto? Let's leave it for now. Every time. Every bloody time. Well, let's look at this stuff. This must be the Lord Chief Justice's desk. I believe it's made of marble. Looks more like the over-the-top tombstone that's toppled over to me. I think that's your fanciful imagination at work again, Mr. Naruto. Looks like everything that's normally made of wood and paper at home. It's made of bricks and stone here. No, that's why this place feels so overbearing, I'm sure. Or are they just gonna say the same things over and over again? Is this some kind of clock? Actually, I think it might be inside some sort of giant clock. But those gears are larger than anything you'd find in a steam locomotive even. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same dialogue. It's the same exact dialogue. For all this. Let me leave. Yep. Please, let me go faster, please. You don't understand. I've already seen this. Okay. So I don't really need to look at that. Let's converse. British court. So, how did you find your first taste of our country's Supreme Court? Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, it was... Wow. You never played these games before, the letter 10? Yo! These are great games. Like, honestly, for streaming, for playing, for just watching somebody, they're great games. I would strongly suggest playing them for sure. All the characters are very zany and fun, and I've always loved that about it. For sure. So I would strongly recommend playing them, or at least watching them. Thankfully, the Great Ace Attorney, no connection to the actual Ace Attorney games, aside from this is the ancestor of Phoenix Wright. Ace Attorney Investigations has some connection to it, but for the most part, you could play it without that. And you can either start at either Ace Attorney, the first one, or you could start out at Apollo Justice, and either one works. Because the first 3 games are their own trilogy, and the second 3 game set, they're kind of their own individual stuff altogether, but like, they do reference a lot of like the past stuff and such. So it's probably best to like do that after the trilogy. But you can do Apollo Justice first, because it does have a nice little like thing. You can go back and forth because of the other trilogy not being so connected. So you can do Apollo Justice in the first Phoenix Wright games. Yeah. Mr. Naruto means the whole experience was steeped in the solemnity of Great Britain's long history. It's really a world apart from our own judicial system in Japan, which is only a few short decades old. Wow, Sato has such a way of words. And you seem to have a way of failing to find the right ones. The judicial system here is the most advanced in the world. Learn all you can. This dude looks so evil that way. The most advanced in the world, is it? It was fortunate that your very first trial was a simple affair. Simple? That was simple? As I believe I mentioned yesterday morning, it was a trial you couldn't lose. I don't mean to be contrary, Lord Strongheart, but the case was anything but simple. The circumstances of the case were so incriminating. I was stunned when I first heard them. In fact, I'm still finding it hard to believe that we managed to get a favorable verdict. Is something funny? No. My apologies. However, the fact is that you did receive the not-guilty verdict you set out to achieve. And that only be attributed to exceptional talent. Wouldn't you agree? Well, I don't know about that. Well, never mind. You exceeded my expectations. I freely admit. That much, at least, is an undeniable truth. Which is precisely why I have prepared a new case for you, that I mentioned before. What's going on? What was he going to say before? Could you perhaps give us more detail about the new case you mentioned? Don't tell me it's a murder, and the trial starts in 10 minutes. Don't worry. It's nothing so alarming or quite so urgent as your last assignment. In fact, this case is completely different. Oh, I see. Did he just read my mind? That is to say, no one has died as yet. And the trial will not be today. There's plenty of time to research the case thoroughly. 23 hours, 43 minutes, 19 seconds to be precise. So the trial's tomorrow then? You do get more time. Is everything alright? Oh, yes. I'm just a little confused, that's all. Guess you're just trialless. Well, it's left me wondering if I'm really cut out for being a lawyer. Oh, Mr. Naruto. I don't know if I could face standing in the courtroom again after Mr. McGlynn's trial. Ah, yes. Nearly forgot. There is one similarity with yesterday's case. Once again, there's currently no one to advocate for the defense. Oh? If the situation remains unchanged, the trial will start tomorrow with the defendant unrepresented. And if that happens, I need not remind you of the inevitable outcome. The most terrible end awaits the defendant. Yes, that's right. Here we go again. Okay, McGlynn's dead. Don't understand, what happened? How could he be dead? After the trial concluded yesterday, there was a great commotion in the Old Bailey. As you'll presumably recall, an omnibus had been wheeled into the courtroom. Yes, of course. That was the scene of the crime which Mr. McGlynn had been accused of. Precisely. Well, while the bailiff's attention was diverted by some other matter, the omnibus went up in flames. Oh. How could such a thing have happened? That is being investigated as we speak, but already. Police have identified a corpse found inside the charred shell of the carriage as that of Mr. McGlynn. That's awful. The man must have slipped inside whilst the bailiff's attention was elsewhere. The bailiff really needs to pay more attention. And how could that have happened? That is also being investigated as we speak. Thinking back now, immediately after the trial, Mr. McGlynn did mention going back into the courtroom to look at the omnibus. Well, I must be making tracks now. 'Tis time for inspection. Sorry, what inspection? They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for it myself. Inspection of the omnibus? Not to my knowledge. I don't believe Scotland Yard had any intention of re-examining the carriage. But then who was Mr. McGlynn talking about? Never mind that now. The Yard is making a thorough investigation. This matter is no longer any concern of yours. Leave it to the police. Well, Mr. McGlynn... Your time is up. You will have to excuse me. I would advise you to begin making preparations for tomorrow's trial. After all, the clock is ever ticking. There is now but 23 hours, 26 minutes, and 39 seconds until the court sits. Last time we mentioned the 23 hours, he said there was plenty of time. And one more thing, Mr. Naruhodo. There is something I should like to ask you. Oh, what's that? Yesterday, you remarked upon something. That you intend to see through the will of your late compatriot, Mr. Osogi. I would be interested to hear what exactly you mean by that. Inside 34 seconds. Cosmo always used to say, you see, that he wanted to learn how the greatest judicial system in the world works so he could change ours in Japan. Now that he's gone, I'd like to work towards that myself. And there's another thing. Oh. Another thing? Continue. On the way here, on the steamship, he said something to me. Something very important I have to do. Something very important? What exactly would that be? He never had a chance to tell me. Suppose he would have done. He never... You're out of time. Well, thank you for the enlightening discussion. Mr. Nano, though, what's all this about? Mr. Osogi never mentioned anything of the sort to me. I urge you both to focus your attentions on the matter at hand. Taking the liberty of summoning the police inspector in charge of the case. He'll be able to apprise you of the details. How long has he been there? So, I wish you the best of luck, and bid you farewell. Okay. There's something very important that I have to do. Kazuma-sama, what did you mean? Wish I knew, but honestly, you never told me. Anyway, we had better talk to the detective, don't you think? Yes, you're right. I hope I'm just imagining it, but I wouldn't say he looks pleased to see us at all. Does he have a thing? What is this? Just look at all those naughty oh god damn it. No! No! I was just trying to examine the little thing he had. Please let me leave, for the love of God. Please. Ugh. That's auto. God. Ugh. Please let me leave. Please. 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 Kindly, just let me go. Thank you. What is he eating? It's like potatoes and bread. Could we trouble you? What do you think? Lovely weather, isn't it? What's the weather to do with anything? Listen to me, you young Japanese upstart. Some fiddling with the weather doesn't get every English gent eaten out of their hand, you know? But Susato-san told me he was foolproof. I'm a busy man, I'm a very busy man. There's a crime scene to investigate, and I'm here having to give the likes of you a talking to. Oh, I'm ever so sorry. Can you imagine what the other officers there will be saying? Haven't seen Grayson anywhere, have you? No, he's too busy with the bigwigs these days. And all because of the bumping years to year on the job from a country I never even heard of. Hearing that ripping sound, that's my reputation on the yards going to tatters. Planning to rip us apart as well. I don't believe we've been introduced. This is Mr. Rinosuke Naruto, a defense lawyer. Eh? It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Mr. Naruto's judicial assistant. So, eh? It's lovely weather we're having today, isn't it? It's lovely weather, right? It is unseasonably fine, I grant you. London winters don't see a lot of sunshine. Unbelievable. How did she pull it off? So, Lord Stronghand has asked me to fill you in on the case. The name's Tobias Grayson. Inspector Grayson to you. I'm from Scotland Yard. Grayson? Inspector Grayson? What's the matter with Susato-san? Does this detective's name mean anything to her? Inspector Grayson. The case. What was this Inspector Grayson? Inspector, are you perhaps the Inspector Grayson? He knows, like, Herlock Sholmes, huh? You're acting like you know this man, Mr. Sato, but he's a London detective. Oh, I do know him. Very well, in fact. Very well? Yes, he's featured prominently in the ventures of Herlock Sholmes. Oh, and that publication? What's it called again? Radis Magazine? That's right, Inspector Grayson and Mr. Sholmes enjoy a wonderful friendly rivalry. Really? You rival the great Mr. Sholmes? That's incredible. Oh, well, I don't know about that. Mr. Sholmes isn't a professional like myself, of course, but he does come up with the goods from time to time. Mr. Sholmes is equally complimentary about you, Inspector, isn't he? You've earned his highest praise. Grayson is the pick of a bad lot of all the Scotland Yards. Those were his own words. That's his highest praise? Well, Mr. Sholmes isn't particularly known for giving compliments, you see. That he is not. And thanks to that magazine, my name's known all over London town now. That's great, isn't it? I have to admit that to start when I was little, well, flattered by all the attention. Everyone wanted to shake my hand, and my reputation at the yard went through the roof. Well, that's wonderful. No, it is not! There's nothing more sinister than a man on the street. People are always looking at me now. They're whispering rumors about me under my breath. I'm sure. Rumors? Are you quite sure? He's changed since he started appearing in those stories. The thing has gotten to his head. Stuff like that. Gosh, do you really think people are saying such mean-spirited things about you? Like I said, they whisper, so I can't catch exactly what they're saying, but I know what folks are like. Sure, that's what they're saying, as sure as eggs is eggs. I get the feeling this detective could be very hard work. Oh dear, perhaps the sudden rise of fame does change people. So, about the case that the Lord Chief Justice mentioned before. Nothing to tell, really. As far as we're concerned at the yard, couldn't be simpler. Oh dear. That probably means that as far as we're concerned as lawyers, it can be more complicated. I wish you were wrong about that, but I have a nasty feeling you're right. A young woman was walking along the pavement on Barrier Road when she was stabbed from behind. Fortunately, it wasn't fatal, but she's still laid up in the hospital unconscious. That's despicable. What sort of coward would attack the poor woman from behind? I suppose you would have finished whoever it was off with a Sasato takedown, would you? This is neither here nor there, Mr. Nanado. Brace yourself, Renosuke. You've angered her now. Anyway, after something of the whirlwind investigation, the criminal was arrested. You barely had time for a cup of tea after the incident took place, to be honest. So there must have been something left at the scene that led you directly to the culprit? Perhaps a reliable witness who recognized the person in question? Let me stop you right there. You're wasting your time on this one. Sorry? There's nothing you could do. There's no way to help the bloke now. Why ever not? Simple. The prosecution that's been assigned to the trial tomorrow is Lord Brock's Van Zeeks. No. Sounds like like you've heard of him. Oh yes, we are very familiar with Lord Van Zeeks. Believed to be harbinger of death himself. The Reaper of the Bailey. Reaper of the Bailey. Lord Brock Van Zeeks, who we faced in court only yesterday. Mr. McGlynn told us about him before the trial, didn't he? When Van Zeeks stands for the prosecution, they call him the accused is sacrificial lambs. In every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. This Reaper of the Bailey nickname, I suppose he's earned it because every defendant he advocates against is found guilty, is that it? Well, if that's the case, we should inform you, Inspector, that in yesterday's trial against Lord Van Zeeks, Mr. Naruto secured a verdict of not guilty. And what of it? Oh, well, I think that means that even against the Reaper of the Bailey, it's not impossible to save the defendant. No, you really don't have a clue, do ya? What do you mean? What happened to that bloke in the head, eh? He's dead. Mangus McGlynn came a crupper in the omnibus when it went up in flames. So you can't really say you saved the defendant, can you? What are you saying? Look, Van Zeeks can get the dirt to stick on everyone. He'd be a miracle worker. That's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles. He works magic. Black magic. I have a good long think about that if I were you. Are we really supposed to believe that? I want potatoes, and I already had potatoes today. I'm really annoyed at that. It's just a cup of potato! Right, well, I'll fill you in on a request, and I'm very nearly out of chips. So I'll be heading back to the crime scene now. We're still carrying on a few investigations there. It was Briar Road, you said, didn't you? Where the incident took place? That's correct, ma'am. And if you head over to the holding cells, you can meet the criminal himself. You branded him a criminal already? He's as good as. Shaking like a leaf in his cell, he is. I'll give you a chuckle if nothing else. He's inmate 53. Speak to the jailer and he'll show you the way. Inmate 53. Thank you. So there's no helping anyone against the Reaper or the Bailey, they say. Is something troubling you, Mr. Naruto? To tell the truth, when I recall the trial yesterday, I can't stop myself from shaking. The idea of facing the Reaper in court again is... Well, if you think it's too much for you, there's no shame in turning down the case down. That takes courage, too. But the man they arrested is innocent. You could well imagine he would be shaking like a leaf in his cell. And I, for one, wouldn't find that sight of that funny. So, if I'm honest, I'm still reeling from the shock of yesterday's events myself. But I'm really not sure if I'll be able to help this man, whoever he is. But I'd like to try, so I think I'm going to make some inquiries. Will you help? Do you really think you had to ask? After all, I am your judicial assistant. Thank you. So then, shall we? Yes! Let's go! Ikimashou! So we go these two things. I want to go to the Briar Road first. I want to go to Burp Road first. Because I want to do other stuff later. Oh my god, my girlfriend is so great. I love her. Oh my god. Oh, there's a stupid ass meme I sent her and she sent me like a full page of the meme back and I'm just like, I love this woman. 19th February, Briar Road. And I will not call anything else. It's gonna be and chicken and waffles. This is where it happened. Briar Road. Ah, look, Mr. Naruto. Look at the regulation on mental helmet. It's unmistakable. The men of Scotland Yard are here. They're investigating as we speak. That is their job, you know. But Mr. Naruto, to see one with my own eyes. They're often depicting the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, but I never dreamed I'd ever come this close. To a real Bobby's helmet. What? The helmet? Of course! I have to try one on one day. Well, I hope your Hattie dream comes true. I don't see Inspector Grayson anywhere. Shall we see if we could sneak past and investigate this scene of the stabbing? Why should we sneak? I don't want to upset one of those bobbies and be butted on the head by one of those metal helmets. My skull would crack in two, I'm sure. Oh no, an English bobby would never do such a thing. This is a landed gentleman, you know? Okay, so let's examine. What are these? Oh, a British bicycle. Look. Although the wheel is some misshaped, I'm sure it couldn't possibly be riddled anymore. Someone must have been doing some breakneck cycling. It seems bicycles have become extremely popular in London recently. There's even a limit to change women's dresses to allow them to ride as well. The bicycle fad won't last. I don't see anyone would want to ride to something like that. Goodness, do you dislike bicycles? No, not at all. I mean, it's not that I dislike them exactly. It's just that any occupation that involves taking both your feet off firm ground seems reckless. You ever tried walking on stilts and fall into a river? I know you'd agree with me. We'll have to hire a bicycle sometime. You can sit behind me when I ride you around. Oh, I love how Susato is just like so like. I guess the best word is she's very like pampering towards him, and I really like that. It's very cutesy to me that she would do that. Cause like she's like, oh well, you're pretty and like all that stuff, and like it just, I don't know, that tickles me pink for sure. Also, I've been making the doodles. Showed this to somebody before, but I was making doodles. It's just stupid stuff. That's all it is. That's a rather typical old brick building, isn't it? I'm sure it was a long and interesting history. Well, time certainly seems to have taken its toll on the place. It's crooked and sagging all over. In fact, it looks like it's decently worse shape than the other houses around here. We must find some cheap lodging ourselves as soon as possible. Yes, you're right. Cheap and ideally with reasonable level floors. Okay. Well, oh look, at the windows of the building there. Are you sure they're windows? Yes, but they're all filled with bricks. Oh, you're right. I wonder why. Perhaps it's an empty property where nobody lives in at the moment. There's smoke coming from the chimneys, though. Oh dear, everything still feels very foreign. There's so much we need to learn about this place. Yes, we do. Strand Street? I guess that's all we found on this end. Well, do you see all the black smoke rising from the chimneys over there? It says here in the Great Britain, many people heat their homes in winter using coal. The only chimneys I really remember seeing in Japan were on top of a bathhouse. Do you really think some of these houses could be on fire? Not at all. Well, even so, that much thick smoke piling up in the heavens is surely going to turn the whole sky black sooner or later. Gosh, you may be right about that. Mayhaps. Clouds look so big and heavy in the sky, don't they? Or the dense fog as well. Everything looks hazy. Well, it is known as Foggy London Town. You just make out some sort of spire through the fog. It looks like it's still being built, though. Aha! I see, yes. That must be the Crystal Tower being built for the Great Exposition that's to open in 6 months' time. Apparently it's going to be very striking. Glance on all sides and the symbolic centerpiece of the exposition. This will be the largest exposition in history, is it? Can't even begin to imagine it. Yep, I think that's it. All there is on that end. Okay. Nothing up here on top. Oh, this is Scotland Yard carriage! They use vehicles like that to rush to crime scenes and cart away criminals. You're very well informed, aren't you? As long as it's been my dream of mine to ride one of those through the streets of London. Well, just pick a stone and throw it through one of the windows then. But that would mean being arrested in order to ride it. Wouldn't it? Still, if it's the only way, help me find a good stone. No, I wasn't being serious. She just... I love her. Susato, these are the best part of this game. And I love her for it. Okay. What a delightful snowman. I didn't realize the English had a tradition of making snowmen as well. It looks a little creepy though. Oh, it is a scarf, look. You'd need one if you were out here in the freezing cold all the time. I wish I had one. I'm afraid our budget is somewhat frozen at the moment too. We certainly can afford a scarf. Sure, this snowman here wouldn't miss his. But the person who made the snowman certainly would. Yes, I know. You're right. Anyway, even if I borrowed it, it wouldn't do much to warm my neck, would it? It's covered in snow. Oh. This patch of pavement must have been where the incident occurred. Yes, it's a very wide open space, isn't it? That's true. Can't see anywhere an attacker could have been hiding. Oh, what are you foreigners doing here? Ah! Oh, we, just visited the scene. Conspiring with the mustache fellow from Japan, are you? Conspiring? I'm here to destroy evidence, eh? Get out of here before I give you an, go on. He shooed us away like rats. Yes, we should give him a wide berth, I think. Disappointing experience. Oh, you see it. That's when the officer of Scotland Yard. The police are making sure the crime scene is undisturbed. The feeling that if we wander too close, we'll be clapped in irons. I think perhaps you're being a little overcautious. We've done nothing wrong, so we have no cause for concern. Oh no, I'm not getting caught out again. Twice is enough. Twice I found myself in handcuffs despite not knowing a thing about what was going on. Yes, you've had some dreadful experiences. I'm sure it's the wide-eyed look of panic you're prone to. It does you no favors at all. Okay, I think we're done here for now. We can't really do anything else until we see the dude. Okay, who did we do? Who ba-do? Who did this be do? 19th February, local prison, cell 9. So these are British prison cells? Oh, they're ghastly. Feels just like a dungeon. Yes, and having experienced it in Japan myself, I can assure you that our wooden cells feel a lot cozier than those cold stone walls. Oh, don't, Mr. Nada, though. You're making it seem worse. Apparently our client is in this cell here. It's so dark in the back there, I can't make him out. I wonder what he's like. Inmate 53, your legal representation is here to see you. Stop idling in the back of the cell and show your face at once. What? Mr. Nutter, though, what do you think is going on here? I have no idea. But I wasn't just hearing things, was I? That triad of complaints was in Japanese. This poor dude, he looks like Edgar Allan Poe. Even Edgar Allan Poe didn't want to be like Edgar Allan Poe. Excuse me, shh, quiet. All around, hiding. I know they are. They're watching, listening, even now. I can sense it. Right. So, could I ask you? There you are. You come to trust me, haven't you? Don't try to hide it. You're a ghost. A ghost? We mean you no harm, Prisoner-san. Are you Japanese, by any chance? This is beyond my wildest dreams. Forgive me for that outburst before. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's fine. We were just a little surprised, that's all. Imagine it! It's been 12 long months since I left my hometown, and here I am in a frightful fix in a foreign land. So you hear the sweet, sentimental tones of the compatriot's voice here in this damp, dark hole. Was a most momentum and moving moment. Who could have guessed this new client, Lord Shonghard, assigned to us would turn out to be a fellow Japanese? Ah, what compassion, my fellow countryman Joe. To dispatch a first-class loyal all the way from Japan to defend a bitter foreign student. Noble, nurturing, never falling, Nipponin. A first-class lawyer? Oh dear, I think there's something of a misunderstanding here. I wonder, would you be so kind as to tell us what's happening? Why, you've been detained as a suspect, for example? Yes, I can, I will. Shan't stay sully and stay silent. Ugh. I'm not quite sure I understand what he means, but he seems happy. Yes, he does. Just hope he actually has a good reason to be. Thank you for your cooperation. I am a lawyer, as you said. My name is Renosuke Naruto. And I am Naruto-san's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba. I am a visiting student sent here by our government. Notoriously named Natsumi. Sasuke Natsumi. I'm presenting with this. I'm sure he'll love it. Yes, the symbol of one of our great empire's first-rate lawyers! Which means, of course, you'll stay by my side. You'll defend me. Oh, no, sorry. That wasn't why I was showing it to you. Then why else would you show me that? Oops, in hindsight, that probably wasn't the best idea. Okay, then. The accusation against you, then. Could you perhaps tell us exactly why you've been arrested, Sasuke-san? I didn't do it! I didn't commit that atrocious murder! Murder? Oh, no. No, it's alright. The woman didn't actually die, did she? But she was stabbed with a knife right before my eyes. Before your eyes? You mean you saw the attacker? I didn't see anyone. What? Have I seen the person who did it? Do you think I'd be locked up in here? Oh dear, it seems this case is becoming rather complicated. Why me? Why me? Why did the silly woman have... Why me? Why did that silly woman have to be stabbed in front of me? It's the curse! The curse of London! It's incredibly, inexcusably, irritatingly inconvenient! So Sasaki-san was there at the scene, but he didn't see the attacker? It's vital that we find out more about the case. Okay, then about the case then. It was an accursed evening, just after the snow had started to clear, and heavy with fog. I'd been to the bookshop to buy some books. I was on my way back to my accursed lodgings. Sure the bookshop wasn't accursed too? As I was walking along the accursed pavement, I couldn't make out the subtle silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman wearing a green overcoat she was, and just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a scream and collapsed onto the cold, hard slabs of stone at my feet. How terrible. I called out to the woman, but she didn't move. It was like a ghostly, grim graveyard. Subtle exaggeration there, perhaps? I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran as fast as my legs would carry me back to my accursed lodgings. That's not good. They'll say it was shameful, I know, to run away like that. Tell me, Sasuke-san, was the victim acquaintance of yours? Don't be ridiculous! Do you think I know any of these fair-haired English, and a young woman at that? I'm diffident, shy, timid, unsure. I can't talk to people! I see. A young woman unknown to Sasaki-san. Sasaki-san. At the time it happened, who else did you see nearby? Did anybody pass you? Regrettably, apart from myself and the woman, I didn't see a soul. No one? Oh, great. So the victim was unknown to you, and there was nobody else in the street at the time. That creates something of a conundrum, doesn't it? What conundrum? What do you mean, Sasato-san? What's the conundrum? Well, if what Saseki-san has just told us is true, there's something I can't explain. He says that he didn't know the victim, and that there was no one else at the scene. Then he apparently fled without having been seen. I did! But if that's the case, surely this man has to be the culprit. Ah! You! What did you just say? Nothing. I didn't say anything. Oops, perhaps I thought a little too loudly. Actually, that's not what was troubling me. What I was thinking was, how did Saseki-san actually come to be arrested? Sorry? He didn't touch the victim, and there was nobody at the scene of the crime to see him. So how did the police ever discover that he was there in the first place? Oh yes, she's right. It was him! That accursed great detective! He led the police to me! Of all the bad luck. Accursed great detective? Could it be? I shall never forget the man's name as long as I live. With his hearty laugh and his self-proclaimed greatness. Brash, big-headed, busybody, begone! May you be cursed until the end of your days, Herlock Shloms! I knew it. Mr. Shloms? Yeah, we'll just go. It's flowing. Well, I didn't expect to hear that name from this man's lip, that's for sure. It was the morning after the nightmare that had unfolded on the pavement before me. I was knocking on the silver of hard cheese when some men suddenly bursted in through the door. They started shouting at me, "This is the police! Put the weapon down!" Yes, it was a thin silver, and yes, it was hard, but I wasn't eating a weapon! Disgusting dietary discrimination devils! You really had a trying morning yesterday. And there he was, in the middle of the police, grinning like a Cheshire cat. That's a Herlock Shloms! It's actually just Herlock Shloms. He's English. We've since found out that he's a famous name of detection here in London. Yes, the great detective is really very well known. His overly sharp mind managed to deduce my whereabouts, apparently. He thinks I'm a knife-wielding madman. Me, this weak stout king of a man. I wonder what great deduction process led to him to his conclusion this time. Do you mean to say that Mr. Slum's deduction was the only reason the police arrested you? That would be really most unreasonable. Well, the thing is, I was thrown into a panic when they barged their way in. Of course you were. That's only natural. I was terrified and trembling, and they kept throwing question after question on me in impossible English. A fiendish foreign inflammatory! Well, we are in England. You can't really blame them for questioning you in English. Good point, good point. But my mind went blank. I knew I had to answer, but I didn't want to say. So I just kept repeating things like, yes, I do, and I'm fine. The next thing I knew, I was in Mango's, and before I knew it, I was thrown in here. Oh dear, I'm afraid that's hardly surprising. I'm fine? He's not fine now. This poor dude. So, your name is, Saseki Natsumi? San, what an unusual name. Call me Saseki. Please. I'm a poet, you see. A writer of haiku. He's something of a nom de plume. A nom de plume? You mean an alias? That's right, Naruto-san. No! Don't be so prospect. It's much more refined than that. An haiku? That really reminds me of home. Did I hear you say that you were a visiting student sent over here by the government? Yes, that's right. A year ago, I was told to go and study English. First, I had to suffer that misery, and now this! It's beyond the pale. Suffer that misery? Do you not want to study here? No, I mean, I've had an interest in Great Britain for some years, of course. Oh. But just because the government tells you to do something, does it mean you could do it? No! What do you mean? If they told me to study English literature, that I could have understood. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language. Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable! This dude's voice is getting at me. Fuck. My voice is gonna be wrecked by this. It's so gonna be wrecked by this. I see. Only the other day, I was told to spend a report about my first year here. I tendered a blank piece of paper. Wise words on whitewashi! You must be a man of great standing. Oh yes, so I am often told. And often like to be told, it seems. Mr. Naruto, Esquire! Oh, you could just call me Naruto, though. And while we're speaking English, a simple mister is more than enough. Oh yes, alright, yes, they've really got, to me. This country is poisoning my mind. But please, I beg you to defend me in court tomorrow. You can, tell them what, really happened. You'll do it, won't you? Well, why? Why is it so hard to say yes to me? The thing is, I'm just a student like yourself. A student? I defended a case in the Old Bailey. Only the one, though. And at the moment in time, I really don't know what I'm supposed to believe in. I'm confused about what justice in this country even means. Naruto-san. I'm even the foreign student who was supposed to be here. I'm a sort of a locum lawyer, I suppose. What? What, the armband? That's the mark of the defense lawyer from our great empire! It's a keepsake from a man who should have been here. He was my best friend. A keepsake? I know exactly what they're saying about me. Oh, what do you mean? The lawyers. Oh, the British defense lawyers. They won't defend me. Goodness, why? Why do you say that? For the same reason as you noted before. When it happened, there was only the victim and myself around. I ran away from the scene of the crime. I'm not a fool. I know it looks as though I must be a culprit. It must be very hard for you, Susate... Suseki-san. Suseki-san. And anyway, I'm a student from overseas. I'm just a foreign nobody to them. Someone not to be trusted. I heard them openly laugh about me before, in my earshot with any compunction at all. Any trial for this man would be a waste of time, they said, and of course the foreigner did it. They even had the call to say, the man doesn't understand half of what's being said anyway. That's awful. They're wrong! I've studied more English than half of the policemen out there on the streets. I've traveled halfway around the world to learn about these people's culture and its great history. But no one here wants to listen to a man with a strange accent. They all hate me. So, at the very least, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who would listen to me in my native tongue. You could do it, couldn't you? When I look into your eyes, I could see what you've been through. Saseki-san, it's just that... Give me a little time, please. I'll do what I can, for the time being. What do you mean? We shall investigate the case as thoroughly as possible. If we can find some clues, it will give us a much better better chance, I'm sure. Oh yes, yes, thank you. I'll be here, all alone, waiting for you. Lo comes student Mr. Naruhodo's Esquire. We should be going then, Naruto-san. You have a case to prepare for. This poor dude. Look at him, he's just so sad and mopey. He looks like a Garfield. Oh. What's the Japanese delegate doing here? Oh, Inspector Grayson. This isn't the tourist trial, as I'm fairly sure you're well aware. Yes, of course. We're here to investigate. So you've been on the holding cell then? Oh, what do you make of the criminal? He's not a criminal as you put it, Inspector. He's a suspect. We'll see about that. You Japanese like to stick together, I suppose. Well, do what you will. Doesn't bother me. The bloke's in court tomorrow. Whatever happens, the verdict's a foregone conclusion. Ugh, some cold air of rejection. Take heart, London. This time of year is full of stone-cold air. That makes it worse somehow. I'm gonna present him with this. Inspector Grayson, could I show you this? Am I supposed to know what that is? Ever seen that insignia before? It's worn by defense lawyers in the Empire of Japan. It's as a symbol of their professionalism. In other words, it's a worthless trinket here in Great Britain. Well, no, it's very important to me. It shows my spirit. An English gentleman keeps things like his spirit very much to himself. I'll have you know. Oh. Don't give up, Naruto-san. It's too late. He's crushed my spirit already. What can I examine? Can I examine the famine? No, not really. I've done all to examine, so it's time to converse with this mammon. Tomorrow's trial. Twitchy Japanese bloke goes on trial tomorrow. Are you going to defend him or not? Well, makes no difference to me. But I will say this. No one lawyer worth his salt would touch that case with a barge pole. The prosecution is being handled by Reaper, because the prosecution is being handled by the Reaper of the Bailey, you mean? There's no way to save the man now. It's a waste of time trying. It is all a bit strange, though. Sorry? The Reaper. He hasn't appeared in court once for a good few years now. Yes, we did hear something to that effect. The only people he usually bothers with are real scum. Master criminals. The violent ones. Master criminals? The violent ones? That's right. He unpicks his victims. Only deals with those guaranteed to go to the gallows for the sins. But Mr. Natsumi wouldn't hang for what he's accused of, surely. That's just my point, Sunshine. Yes, the young woman was stabbed, but it didn't kill her. Couldn't even say that intent was there. So this isn't a sort of case I expect the Reaper to want to sink his teeth into. For want of a better phrase. Well, it's not exactly a minor infraction, is it? No. There's got to be more to it. Some reason he's taken an interest. Probably because he's Japanese. Really? What sort of reason, Inspector? You think I could tell what's going on inside the head of the Lord of Darkness? Well, you'll have to ask him yourself at tomorrow's trial. I'm really going to have to face the Reaper again? Lord of Darkness, as he put it. Okay, about the case. It happened around 5 in the evening, 2 days ago. Just there, on that open bit of pavement. The victim, a young woman, was stabbed with a blade from behind. Is it right the lady is still unconscious now? You mentioned that she's being treated in the hospital. Never said she was a lady. Truth is, unless she comes around pretty smartish, we won't be able to find out much about it at all. Because that means they haven't been able to take a statement from her, of course. Here's a map of the local area I happen to have on me. You can take it if you want. Really? Are you sure? It's your policy to give lawyers defending suspects the odd bit of information to go on. I haven't actually accepted the job yet, but still. Thank you, Inspector. We gracefully accept. Yay. Anyway, as far as we know, there's no one else on the scene other than the victim and our fellow countrymen. So who did it, do you think? Not much of a head-scratcher, is it? Well, I know Mr. Natsumi is also claiming not to have seen anyone else around, but just because he didn't see anyone, it doesn't mean we can be sure that nobody else was present. Should I tell you, but we most certainly can be sure. How? Because, man, the precise moment of the stabbing didn't go unnoticed. What? We have 2 very reliable witnesses, no less. It was a typical foggy London day, and your client obviously didn't see them. There were witnesses now? Let's see, witness. Who are these witnesses, Inspector? A fellow and his wife. And the man's one of the most reliable and respectable citizens in all of London. He's a copper from Scotland Yard. Huh. A policeman? That might change things. The policeman just happened to be there in the exact moment the woman was attacked. Nothing particular about that man. Pot and parcel being a Bobby. Catching them banging the act and all that. Do you think it might be possible for us to ask that policeman a few questions? Be my guess. You could ask him what you like in court tomorrow. Oh. I know Daddy will summon as a witness. So I'll give you something to look forward to. If that's that then. He's got no intention of letting us meet the man beforehand, it seems. Policeman witnessed the incident. As your usual assistant, I must warn you that this could make our job very difficult indeed. Yes, as a non-judicial assistant, I could have warned me of that too. Oh yes, one more thing, Inspector. What? The person who led you to the suspect. I heard that it was Mr. Herlock Sholmes. What are you bringing him up for? Is this something I said? The color was drained from his cheeks. Mr. Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes! Where do you hear that name from? Oh, well, it was Mr. Natsumi who mentioned it. He said that Mr. Sholmes was with the police when they entered his lodgings. I'm sure it was the result of Mr. Sholmes' inspirational great deductions. Fiddle faddle! The man's an amateur, and I'm getting sick and tired of him showing his mug everywhere. Oh. I don't know where he gets his information from, but he turns up at the scene of the crime. Wanders around spouting incomprehensible gibberish, and before you know it, he claims to have solved the case. Yes, he's quite astounding, isn't he? He is a great help at Scotland Yard, though, isn't he? Gibble gabble! You ever seen this before? Oh, yes. That's Raz Magazine. The wonderful publication in which the adventures of Herlock Sholmes appears. Yes, well, that wonderful publication, as you put it, sees fit to include several of the Yard's detectives in its stories. And the so-called great detective makes a mockery of all of us. If you ask anyone in the Yard, it's a misadventure to be included in any Herlock Sholmes tale at all. Well, I suppose there is an element of that. We work our socks off, every one of us, only to be troubled by the public thanks to an obnoxious detective. The man's as dangerous to us at Scotland Yard as he is to all criminals. Can't really be true, can it, Inspector? Really, the great detective and the police have a complex relationship. Yep, Scotland Yard. Tell me about Scotland Yard, Inspector. Ever since I read about it in the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, I've been fascinated by the place. The Yard is the most sophisticated policing organization you'll find anywhere in the world, ma'am. Oh, and you know, I've always dreamed of wearing a real Bobby's helmet. It does make them look the part, seeing that the police there with his helmet on. I certainly get the sense that this is a man who will take no nonsense in his duty of protecting the city. Oh yes, doesn't he look wonderful? Being a London Bobby is hard going, I can tell you. Oh, really? First thing in the morning, you know what he does? Goes around and roses all the laborers on his beat so they could get off to work. What? He wakes people up? Yup, rams their windows with a long pole. Did it myself going back a bit. I had no idea. The Bobby works for the people of the town. Just another one of his duties. After that, he starts tirelessly patrolling the streets all day long. He has to cover 20 miles a day. That's the regulation distance. Can't really imagine how far that is. Sounds like a long way. Let me see. 20 miles. That's approximately the distance from Tokyo to Yokohama. On foot? That's definitely taking things a step too far. When it gets dark, of course, he has an important job of lighting all the gas street lamps. Oh my. Suppose in between all those duties, bobbies are expected to investigate cases as well? Chase after criminals trying to evade the law. I'm not sure you could call it in between exactly. More alongside. They're expected to handle these jobs as well. We do have men killing over from time to time, I admit. I always dreamt of wearing one of those helmets, as I said. But it's with a heavy heart that I shall have to relinquish that dream to you, Mr. Naruto. Your heavy heart will be my heavy head if you do. Well, I don't think we're going to get any more useful information out of the detective. Mr. Naruto, can I make a suggestion? Oh yes, what is it? Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this. By him, do you mean Mr. Slomes? Yes! Mr. Herlock Sholmes, exactly! Look at those shining eyes. Can't wait, can you? Well, Mr. Natsume did blame Mr. Sholmes for all this, didn't he? Yes, he did! He really did! Which makes him an involved party in the case. Are you just going to ignore that? I hope not. I assure you, it's not simply my selfish desire to meet Mr. Sholmes again. Trouble is, we have no idea the man's address even. It's Baker Street! How do you know that? It's in the stories, of course. 22 1B Baker Street, the most famous address in the world. Oh, I see. Well, that's nothing to stop us from going, I suppose. We better try to find our way there before Sato-san gets any more excited and unpredictable. Hurrah! I'll summon a carriage! So I'll have to reunion already. With the great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Okay, let's present you with this. Thank you again for this. Don't mention. I had someone in the yard finish it out for me, but then I didn't need it. Oh? Well, the case could hardly be simpler, what could it? I don't need a map to work out what happened. You could throw it away when you're done with it. Cold. Okay. Examination's still the same. Well, let's look over here real quick and make sure there isn't any super special awesome things that we're missing. Okay. Time to move to the Baker Street. Yay. Sholmes is sweet.
Thank you very much. It's just up there overlooking the street. Good day. Thanks again. This is it. The residence of Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
February 12:53 p.m. Sholmes' suite. So this is where the great detective makes his living? It feels surreal to be here somehow. Is it as described in the stories, Mr. Sato? Susato-san? Many famous cases have been solved here in this very room. Oh, I suppose they must have been, yes. I never read the story, so it's hard to get quite as excited about it as she does, it seems. The detective chases the villains relentlessly as he disappears into the fogged-down, unlit London street. Oh, the thrill of it! The romanticism! Can't you feel your heart thumping in your chest? Can't you, Mr. Naruto? Oh, I suppose I can, yes. So if you don't mind, I'll just stand here and soak up the atmosphere for a while longer. Please don't mind me. She's obsessed. Well, looks like our detective friend isn't home at present. Excuse me? Is anyone home? Oh, it's her! Hello! Is it a big new case for Mr. Sloane's? Hello? Wait! Aren't you... Oh, how rude of me! I'll go and make some tea at once. I'm sure it's the same girl. Mrs. Sato, did you see the girl who was just, here? Oh yes! Isn't it truly extraordinary? To think that the King of, Bohemian, came to this very room to ask Mr. Sloane's to take on his case. The King of Bawere? King William, Gistrick, Simon, von Armstead, of course. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Forget the adventures of Herlock Sholmes for a moment and look over there. The tea is brewed, and I have a freshly baked cake as well. Oh, it's you. I knew it. Susato-san recognizes her too. Ah, there you are! And taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Oh, good day to you. Well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine. It's the girl who turned up at the end of Mr. McClin's trial in the defendant's antechamber. Never been a lawyer from the Far East before. Poor you, having to get straight to work when you're only just arrived in London. Oh yes, it was challenging. Well, try this tea. It's my special blend, you know. Oh, thank you. Is tea supposed to look that color? Oh my, what a freaking mellow flavor. Hooray! It's a winner! I tried blending different leaves designed to alleviate fatigue, you see. You must be exhausted from your long voyage here, and you have another ticklish trial tomorrow. Oh, and you're to defend a Japanese man. I do wish you lots and lots of luck. Did Mr. Sloane's tell you about us, by any chance? Oh, you know Hurley, do you? Hurley? Mr. Sloane's? Do you? To you? Surely. Mr. Sloane's is a fellow passenger on the boat that brought us to Great Britain, you see. Was he really? Well, I had no idea. I'm afraid Hurley's out on an errand again today, even though he's just returned from overseas. Wait a minute. We met this girl for the first time ever yesterday after the trial, and only briefly at that. How on earth does she know so much about us? Did she deduce all those things, do you think? Perhaps more to the point. Why is she here in Mr. Sloane's suite? Oh, silly me! I haven't introduced myself, have I? It's a great pleasure to meet you both. My name is Iris Wilson. I live here together with Hurley. Iris, is it? What a lovely name. What? What's the matter? No, wait, this can't be. Did you say your name? Your name is Wilson? What's the matter with Sato-san? Why are you so flustered all of a sudden? Yes, that's right. And what are your names? Oh, I'm Renosuke Naruto, a lawyer from Japan. Oh, sorry. I'm Mr. Naruto's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba. It's wonderful to meet you. Lovely. Susie and Reno. Got it. Susie? And Runo? There's one of this girl that meets the eye. I have so many questions for her. I don't know where to start. Yes, and so do I. Oh my god. Oh, I have to present her things. Well, what if we examine stuff? Let's examine stuff first. A mysterious shoe, a curious hammer, some mystery dancing men, a bust of Napoleon. Ah, what an entrancing collection! This is the first time in my life that I've seen a lonely old shoe displayed as an ornament. Oh, those are all mementos that Harley has collected from his past cases. I'm gonna make it to the punch and tell everyone. Tell everyone what? What? Really? Even the bust? Yes, that's right. When the mood takes him, he likes to throw it on the floor and smash it to dust. You're a massive top. Yeah. Whoa! Yo! That's amazing! Can I borrow some money? That's great though, honestly. Like, for real, real. I'm so glad. I'm so happy for you, Cactar. That's great. I'm very happy for you. The Fort of Defenseless Emperor? Mr. Slomes destroys it? Yes, and then he buys a new one. You make it sound like he has a temperament of an insane sculptor. Ah, how entrancing bohemian of him. Well then. Looks like a huge metal chest is being used as a table for tea and coffee. Seems very sturdy with an equally sturdy lock. Mr. Naruto, you mustn't go around opening things. I always have to keep an eye on you, don't I? You're very mischievous. How did you come to that conclusion? Oh, that chest contains some of the most valuable things. That smile tells me you're not going to give us any clue about what they are. Nice music. I do like this fireplace. It's one of the best things I've seen since we arrived in the country, in fact. Lingering beside the fire and watching the flames flicker and dance the grant. It's so relaxing. We can't relax. Not when there's so many interesting things on the mantelpiece. Oh, it's just as described in the stories. It is? Yes, exactly. Oh my god, thank you for the videos. Thank you, Rar. I appreciate that. Yes, exactly. Inside that Persian slipper, for example, are my chocolates for Albanese. And the transfix by the large jackknife is my shopping list for the market. Oh, it's not quite how I remembered it being described in the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes. Poor Susato-san, she looks crushed. Oh, poor Susato-san. Oh, she's a poor little baby. Rar likes you now? Oh my god. Oh my god. Rar, you need to be thanking Cactar for getting money, for getting that paper. My top doesn't provide for me. Not that way. I wish, but like I'm not gonna pressure her. But it'd be nice, not gonna lie. Still. Can't say I'm not jellied. There's all sorts of these shelves. Chemistry, apparatus, books, papers, and lots of things I've never seen before. It's all heaped up so high, I can't help feeling that a whole lot is going to topple at any moment. Keep telling Harley not to cram so much on those shelves. Good advice. He wanted to look something up in one of those books a while ago. But it was all so tightly wedged in, he couldn't get it out. So he went and bought a new copy instead. This is dumb. You started witch cackling in the classroom when you found out? Oh my god. You ripped the lawyer apart last week and then put the nail in the coffin today. Nice. Yeah, full refund, baby. That's how you do it. That's great. That's great. That's great. That's great. Okay. Ooh, Bible Limba. I've seen pictures of Western musical instruments like this. It's called a violin, isn't it? Of course it is. Mr. Slum's renowned for his violin playing. Oh, really? Absolutely. It's often explained in the stories. It's inspirational, Mr. Naruto. Inspirational. I immediately started playing the koto, which was the closest Japanese string instrument I could find. What a shame you couldn't bring it with you to London. Oh, yes, well... Papa was beaming when I asked him if he would buy me one. But after a while he asked if I would only practice when he was out of the house. So now it's merely an ornament in my room. That must have been an awkward conversation. Oh, this poor girl literally was like, I'm gonna play the music instrument, and then the dad was like, yo, you suck. Okay. What on earth is this huge over-the-top machine? That's the great analyzoscope. It can analyze anything, really. Anything at all. That's absolutely incredible. Oh, what is this image you want me to add? It's one of Hurley's inventions. It took him a whole year. He said it was to help him with his investigations. What sort of things has he analyzed with it? Do you know? Well, actually, he hasn't used it for anything yet. Oh. Why not? Apparently, on the evening he finally completed it, it suddenly occurred to him. I don't actually have anything I need to analyze. Oh dear. How about you, Renault? Do you, have anything you'd like to analyze? The only thing that springs to my mind is the machine itself. Right? Yeah, for something that has, like, a lot of stuff, there certainly is a lot of things to actually, like, go look. Not sure about the image, you don't have to. Honesty is important, it is. But if it's a little bit risky, I really don't mind. Is it Big Boopa? Is that what it is? I love it. Yes, I will absolutely. This will be added. Yes. Okay. God, I love this music. It's like a little loopy balloons and such. Properties, 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 properties. It's pointing at me too, which is great. I love it. The entire ass! God dang it. Go. That's good enough. Reminds me of a spot in Kingdom Hearts. Okay, that's fair. Oh, looks like Sigma alphabet. What a beautiful English tea set, and so neatly arranged. It's a favorite pastime of mine. A cup of herbal tea in the afternoon. Tea made of herbs? That's right. I grow all sorts of herbs in the garden, so I could experiment with different blends. One moment, don't go away. I'll brew a pot of a special blend I came up with earlier today. She looks delighted. I only hope it's safe to drink. That's a charming little white shelf, and full of charming little bottles, too. Oh yes, but don't touch any of those. They might explode. Explode? Are they exotic chemicals? Do you use them for exciting experiments? Yes, indeed. As Hurley always says, chemistry is explosive science. Sorry? I agree. A single discovery can trigger an explosion of innovation all around the world. Perhaps he just meant it literally. Either way, little note, do not touch any bottles that belong to Iris. Okay. What on earth is that big black lump over there? Ah! That fascinating thing is called a typewriter. It's a machine that allows you to write on paper without needing a pen. And wizardly, quickly too. Oh. It sounds like it could be very useful for someone like me with terrible writing. We vote examining the bottles. We already examined the bottles. We can't touch them no more. Unfortunately, this is how the game works. I think we're all done. Okay, let's show her stuff. Oh, this is her standard. Oh, how exciting! What is it? Tell me, all about it. Actually, I was hoping you might be able to tell me something about it. If anything comes to mind. Why would it? Well, no, I suppose it wouldn't. Tell me! I want to hear everything. This hasn't gone according to plan. Oh no, it's the same thing! No! What happened to my fun little bloody dialogue? I just wanted. No! Okay, well, alright, let's just converse with her. Okay, Wilson? Wilson?! Oh yes, there's something I must ask you. Of course. Go ahead, Susie. I am a very great fan of the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, and... Oh, do you have a copy of Rustin magazine? Yes, I read every issue. It's delivered all the way to Japan on a ship. Oh, this is so exciting. My stories are being read on the other side of the world. My stories? That's right. Harley is always solving such amazing cases, you see, and he tells me all about them. They really are quite fascinating. It would be such a shame if, I was the only one who ever heard them, don't you think? Goodness. Last night, he was telling me all about a new case he just solved on a steamship, traveling from a faraway land. So I was just in the middle of typing up the manuscript for the next issue before you came. So you are the author? Yes. I'll let you in a secret if you like. I'm going to call this latest adventure the Spectre Band. Oh my god! After the thingy thing! Oh my god! The Spectral Band? Certainly very familiar. Of course, I always change one or two details in the toy here and there. This time I have the idea of making a venomous snake be the cause of all the trouble. Oh, that was Mr. Slim's first thought as well, actually. Yes, and of course I know that a snake might not be a credible fit for the facts of the case exactly, but it's a story. Some poetic licenses is justified to make it more thrilling, I think, don't you? So, do you mean to say, are the stories about Mr. Sholmes that are published in Retson magazine all written by me? Yes. On my wonderful and very modern typewriter. But all the stories I've ever read are written by a doctor of medicine, Mr. John H. Wilson. Sato-san's getting more and more worked up. Ah, yes, that's me. I mean, my name really is Wilson. But what about Doctor of Medicine part? That's all true too. I am a doctor of medicine. No, at 10 years old? 10 years old. Well, that's quite incredible. But, Dr. Wilson is an English gentleman. Ah, yes. I did alter the setting slightly for the stories to be more compelling. Oh. I'm going to be a broken record, but like, girls, I impressed myself with my energy today. You impressed me with your energy today. Honestly, Cactar, I am so happy you got your refund. Like, I truly am, because, like, honestly, that takes a lot of sting out of it, you know? A lot of sting. And that's good. I don't want my friend to be hurt, you know? Well, it sounds a little strange, doesn't it? A great detective with a 10-year-old, in tow. I suppose it does. Yes. Poor Sato-san. She looks like her whole world has just fallen apart. Oh! Oh, I don't want to hurt Mrs. Sato at all. Look at her poor little bean face. You're cool to go toe-to-toe with a lawyer. Damn. Really doing it. On a soft rep. Okay, Iris then? It was you that we ran into yesterday, wasn't it? At the Old Bailey? Yes, that's right. You were ever so helpful. Thank you so very much. Oh, no, not at all. I'm so sorry we couldn't have been more welcoming. For the time, we did have a rather large gun pointed at us. Like this? Thinking back now, you left with Miss Lestrade in tow, didn't you? Oh yes, that awkward witness, Gina Lestrade. Oh, Jeannie? Yes, she's a professional pickpocket. So we found out. It was very naughty of her to pinch my invention like that. Are you referring to that trial, disturbing, gun-like contraption? Exactly. So I followed her, you see, to get it back. Perhaps I should think about fitting a self-destruction mechanism in my inventions. This girl is dangerous. Anyway, I brought Jeannie back here after that, so she could apologize to my trusty technician. Sorry, your technician? Hurley, of course, silly. Hurley? Yes, Herlock Sholmes. We live here together. I had no idea the Great Detective has such an interesting young daughter. Jana? Not likely. What? I wouldn't call Hurley if he was my... I wouldn't call him Hurley if he was my father, would I? Well then, what is your relationship with Mr. Sholmes? Well, I expect you found out that lodgings of any kind in London are very expensive. So the solution is to share the cost with a partner, a roommate. Your roommates? You don't mind me asking, Iris, but how old are you? 10 at last this year. Well, what of your mother and father? Oh no, they're not around. Oh, I see. I wonder what the story is there. Okay, so they're just not there. Okay. About before. Yes. What's on your mind, Una? Do tell me. How did you know that I was a lawyer? We just arrived in London, I mean. Yes. Oh, and that we have a difficult trial tomorrow. How do you know all that? Oh, that's what you mean. Oh my god! This is a raid! Oh dear lord, it's a ghost raid! Grandpa's Ghost, thank you so much for the raid. My goodness gracious, it's quite a lot. Hello, Hero X, Erica. Oh my god, another raid! What the fuck? Thank you, SEL Lily. Thank you. I appreciate that too. 2 raids in 1. 2 for 1 deal. Well then. Hey, Miss Tori. Glad to see you here too. Kenjiro. Good to see you. Good to see everybody here. We are in the midst of being told things and whatnot. Oh my god. Nikki, I'm glad to see you here too. Gosh, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of something so fast. Anyway, we're on case 4 of Great Ace Attorney, and we are getting to talk to Iris about stuff and whatnot. So we're doing that kind of bit and everything. Freaking double raid! I did not expect that. That's crazy. Yeah, we just learned not to touch your bottles because Big Boom, yes. And Iris and Sato-san is apparently not good at instruments, which is sad. But yeah. Oh, thank you so much for the follow, Hero X Erica. Wait, is Hero X Erica like a Dragon Quest reference? Because if that is the case, Dragon Quest's good. Okay. Whew. Please tell us how you did it. Explain every detail. Of course, I'll be delighted. Although, there's really no mystery. Now, let's begin. Iris Wilson is proud to present her Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. No Call of Duty clan. First of all, I knew already that you were a lawyer, Renaud. After all, I met you yesterday at the Old Bailey in the defense antechamber. But you also said that we'd only just arrived in London. How do you know that? I observed a passport and travel ticket protruding from your breast pocket. Uh-oh. You like this character, Sarah? Yeah, that's great. You know, lurk. Well, Grandpa's goes, thank you for lurking. Thank you for coming here and raiding. I really appreciate that. My goodness, 2 raids in 1 is such a fun. So I was reasonably convinced that you must have only just arrived in the country. And on top of that, you accepted a case against that particular prosecutor, telling me you were unaware of London's court affairs. For the Bailey? I walked right into that one, didn't I? Then I noticed the red ink stamp on the back of Susie's hand. You were given that when you visited the local prison to meet with a suspect brought in earlier today. They use those stamps to keep close eyes on coming and goings, you see? I didn't realize. And a red stamp is only used for people visiting foreign inmates. So that told me that even though you had only yesterday concluded the trial of Magus McGlynn, the 2 of you had already been had cause to visit a foreign inmate at a local prison. However, neither of you was wearing particularly a sad expression on your face, so I concluded that the prisoner was unlikely to be a friend or a relative. That led me to believe that you must have accepted a new case. I see. But how could you have known that the trial is tomorrow? Well, having barely been home a few hours earlier, Hurley solved yet another case. Vastly amused him, he told me that he caught a Japanese man who was flying and trembling. A Japanese man? Well, clearly that must have been Mr. Natsumi. Now, Renaud has that fancy Japanese sword. And I think your outfit is called a kimono, isn't it, Susie? Well, anyway, it was clear to me that you both come from Japan yourselves. So I put 2 and 2 together and decided you must be defending the Japanese man, Hurley Ka. And there was only one conclusion those facts could lead me to. You both came here to ask Hurley about the case. She's good. She is good. There's a note on the mantle that says the man's trial will be tomorrow. Hurley is always stabbing his notes with a knife, you know. He is silly. Gave her a giant ass head. She's a kid. That's why. Kids have giant ass heads. I thought you would know this, Cactar. Being a person that teaches giant ass head kids. And that's all that was to it, really. Thank you for listening. I'm Iris Wilson, and that was my great deductions. Well, was it a winner? Were my deductions correct? They were spot on. That was amazing, Iris. Truly a great deduction. I hope she's wrong. Dang. Yeah, she's not wrong. She got it, like, fully. The thing is that I think we're gonna discover that, she's actually the brilliance behind Herlock Sholmes. Because Mr. Sholmes is a hack. As to say. You even managed the certain thing of Mr. Sholmes' delivery. Oh, well, I was just copying Hurley's style for that. This is really very good news. You could tell us all about the case involving Japanese man. You will, won't you, Iris? Please. The case of the Japanese man. Why wasn't the case called this? I would have loved it so much more. The case of the Japanese man. Freaking Yu Yu Hakusho ass. Melody. Oh. So yesterday, Mr. Sholmes apprehended a Japanese man, you were saying. Yes. Hurley had just arrived back in London after a sea voyage, but the police were waiting for him in the railway station to take him directly to the crime scene. The relative was a popular man, it seems. Apparently a woman was stabbed on a quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who had seen a short, sniffling-looking stooped man running away from the scene. A short, shifty-looking, stooped man? This not assuming beyond any doubt. Suseki-san said that he didn't see anybody else on the street at all. But it seems there were witnesses after all. Hurley used his great deductive powers to determine the man's address. It was a lodging room very nearby. He went directly there with the police, and what did they find? A short, shifty-looking, stooped man, shivering in fear. Mr. Sholmes' great deduction certainly hit the mark that time. Of course it did. He's a great detective. Still, that means the incident occurred only 2 days ago. Surely tomorrow is too soon for a trial, isn't it? Definitely. We have no time to investigate properly. Hurley says that London is rife with crime. Oh. Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it, apparently. Oh dear. I haven't realized the situation was so dire. That's why they can't afford to spend too much time investigating cases and trying the criminals in court. Staff and money are both short. Crimes are usually pinned on the first suspicious person. Damn. She just straight up said, yeah, the system's like bad. Cool. That's terrible. I suppose it's the harsh reality of the workings of the world's greatest justice system. I suppose it is. But in that case, I don't hold out much hope for Suseki-san. Thank you for answering so many of our questions, Iris. This has been very informative. Oh, you're most welcome. I've had so much fun. Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is at the moment? As you guessed, we'd like to ask him some questions about this case as well. Oh, well, I expect Hurley is still investigating the scene. Of the case involving Mr. Natsumi, you mean? Yes, Mr. Nuts, Hurley said he was going to the man's lodgings. If you leave now, you'll probably catch him there. Iris, do you know where those lodgings are? Well, I imagine the police are still investigating the scene of the crime themselves, aren't they? Did you happen to come across a detective by the name of Grayson when you were there? Yes, we know Inspector Grayson. Oh, goody. In that case, get Gracie this for me, would you? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you what you want to know. What is it? A 5-shilling piece in a postcard, it seems? Oh my god, are we bribing the police? Yo, I think we're gonna bribe the police right now. It reads, tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem. Gosh, that will make the inspector help us, will it? Well, thank you, Iris. I'll give it a try. Good luck, then. I'm going to return to write my manuscript, The Spectral Band. And I'll be making more special blends of tea, so come back again soon. Bribe's gonna be exchanged for goods and services. Yeah. Oh, too bad he wanted a peanut. We'd be delighted. Thank you so much, Iris. Well, Mr. Nara, though, it's back to the scene of the crime. So somewhat dubious that we would exert any influence over the men of Scotland Yard at all. Made it back to the scene with Iris's curious note, and one of the world's heaviest silver coins in hand. Well, I didn't expect it to just end right there. What? Damn. And it's just under 2 minutes. It's just under 2 minutes. So it is a bribe. I think so. But for right now, I'm going to take a small break and get me some more water because I have to voice act a lot of this. And we'll continue for another hour with this game. So break time, everybody. You're going to go sleep, Genjinaro? That's fair. You're fun for the big time? Yeah, for sure. Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure having you around. Get snacks, people. I'm going to get water. Okay. Okay. I got something interesting I can show y'all. Look, I got chopsticks. They are wonderful chopsticks that are apparently reusable and whatnot. They're made with fiberglass. Not sponsored or anything, I just got them. Because I ordered them from Amazon. And Amazon was like, I'm gonna ship it to you right now. And I was like, okay. So yeah. I got them mainly because I thought like, it'd be pretty simple to, how to say, cook food with and such. And like, also like clean. Because like, it's literally a stick. Okay, here we go. 19th February, 2:38 p.m. Brum Road. Looks as though the police are still here, carrying on their investigation. Perfect. So let's find Inspector Grayson as quickly as possible. Yes, let's see if they'll take a break from his chips to look at that silver tip Iris gave us for him. Weird sentence. Just the way he just has the chips. Okay, so they're all done. There you go, sir. Inspector Grayson, do you have a moment? Sorry to say I don't. Very busy man. Much too busy to talk to a pair of foreign gadabouts, that's for sure. We have these for you. A present from Miss Iris Wilson. What? For me? For my ladyship? Her ladyship? Give that here, at once! Come on, hand it over, that's for me! Don't wait for me to give it to you, will you? What was that coin exactly? It's a silver crown, obviously, but it's a lot more than that. It's, well, it's an appearance fee, that's what it is. An appearance fee? Oh, I see. You mean... That's right, for the adventures of Sherlock Sholmes. Her ladyship always offers me a little financial reward for featuring me, every time. Yes, of course. I know about your exploits, Inspector. I read them avidly. Of course. Using my name without my say-so does make me a butt of a lot of unpleasant jokes, but still. I'm sorry, Inspector. That must be difficult for you. Never you mind that. So, what do you want? I don't know then, Sorry? Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. Trust that it won't be a problem, it says. Well, obviously it's not a problem. Go on, fire away. What do you want to know? Well, if you wouldn't mind, Inspector, we'd very much like to know the address of Mr. Natsumi's lodgings. Little knife villain, mustache Japanese fellow. He lives in the right old oval, just over there. Look. He lives there? On the first floor of that house, on the corner... On the first floor of that house where that wreck of a bike propped up. That is nearby indeed. If I remember rightly, the landlord is a Mr. John Grittyham? Right, well, if you see her again, you make sure you give her ladyship my regards, you hear? I mean it! You tell her that Grayson sends his very best wishes! Don't worry, Inspector, we will. Goodbye for now, then. Long live her ladyship. Okay. I was gonna be a lot weirder than that, but I'm glad it wasn't. Well, at least he told us what we wanted to know before he left. Yes, so then shall we go and see what we could find in Mr. Natsumi's lodgings? Definitely. Okay. Examine. We can examine it. That's a rather typical old brick building, isn't it? I'm sure it was a long and interesting history. Well, time certainly seems to have taken its toll on the place. It's crooked and sagging all over. In fact, it looks indecently worse shape than the other houses around here. According to Inspector Grayson, that's the house where Mr. Natsumi has lodgings. It's across the road from where the incident took place? I see. Must be awful for Saseki-san getting caught up something like this in a foreign land. Yeah, it really did be awful. Oh, that was the whole thing. Yeah, that was the whole thing. Okay, let's move. Okay, new location. Oh, the location get more. See how it has like a little extra there? Is there a person we could talk to right here, I guess? I guess so. "19th February. Mr. Natsumi's lodgings." Who are you? May I help you? Yes, would this be the residence of Mr. John, Gridihan? Indeed it would, sir. And who may I say is calling? My name is, Renosuke, Naruto. Mr. Naruto is, representing, Mr. Saseki-san, Natsumi. I believe he takes lodgings here? Oh my god, why did she, like, perk up? We would very much like to ask him, some questions about our client. One moment, please. I shall convey the message to Mr. Graden. Graden? I don't know. I'm not gonna pronounce that name right. That's lost cause now. Do you see that, Mrs. Sato? That was a real-life English maiden. I know. As I understand it, anyone standing in English society employs a number of household staff. But that was the first time I've ever seen one in the flesh. This day keeps getting better. Certainly feels like we really arrived now, doesn't it? We need only to meet a butler, and the experience will be complete. Well, I'm sure if I'd go that far. But I understand the sentiment. Thank you for waiting. Mr. Gradin will see you now. This way. Oh god, I hate him. He looks like the fucking moon. Looks like racist moon man. Look at that enormous screen. It must have been put there deliberately, surely. Guess it certainly seems like someone's trying to hide something from view. What could be behind it, I wonder? I'm going to have a very quick look. Just a little peek. Ahem! Maybe let's not, Mrs. Sato. Insulting the moon? That's not my moon. My moon's a trans woman that has a harem, okay? She provides for her peoples. For her girls, okay? And the maid is going to head us off with a cup of tea. Ahem! Ahem! What moon is this? There's a moon. I noticed you had a pile of books here, Mr. Credibin. Do you enjoy reading? Never experienced a London winter, boy. The nights are long. No better way to pass the time than in front of a fire with a jolly good book. Oh, there's a copy of Red's magazine here, I see. And no doubt Mr. Garbin enjoys the adventures of Herlock Slums, too. The Great Detective has a great many followers, it would seem. Yes, he does. Why the fuck is there a sexy apron on his gun? Because cannons are sexy? Like, fuck. Do I need to explain why you would fuck a cannon? Like, come on. Come on. It's a full-size cannon. What's it doing in here? Oh my, it's real. I thought it might be a replica. That old thing? Oh, that's little more than a toy. Sorry? Army was selling it off when I retired, so I decided to give it a new home. Never know when the enemy might attack next. Jolly useful to have a cannon around the house. Really? It isn't overkill? Be prepared, I always say. You never know what this twisted world is going to throw at you next, boy. Do you think there may be a trouble brewing, Mr. Gretaman? Always is. Take Jonah here. Never fails to have clean apron in reserve. Dries them over the bell, you see. They dry very well in the cannon there, Jonah tells me. Which rather proves my point, I feel. It's been reduced to a drying rack? No wonder the huge cannon looks like it's hanging its head in shame. It kinda does. The uniform looks fairly ancient, doesn't it? A clue, a clue! With the picture tilt, we'll get to it. I'm moving my way downtown. I'm trying to go as fast as I can. It's clearly been well looked after, though. That old thing? Not much better than rags, really. Oh? Well, that's a mental garb on my retirement bash, you know? But I'm not one for dwelling in the past, me. Wouldn't have gladly thrown it out, but you know how it is. Anyway, it doesn't hurt to have an odd piece of memorabilia lying around, does it? Oh, I see. Moving slowly downtown, not gay enough. I don't walk fast gay. I'm not a fast gay walker. Perhaps we should leave the past the past. Okay, how's this? Yay, slow gays unite! Slow gays unite! This looks like the Medal of Honor. And showcase on a very grand banner. This is displayed with some pride, I would say. Although it bothers me that it's not straight. What? That old thing? Sorry? Yeah, I should be glad to see that the back of it, but the general would tend to his grave if I disposed of it. The wall's the best place for it. Keeps the bailey out of my way. So it's just being polished to shine by accident, I suppose? There appears to be an inscription on the medal itself. Look! Let me see. It says, for distinguished participation. Sounds like kind of honors even I could be in line for. Well, one doesn't like to blow one's trumpet. But I was given that for my time in the army. Can't measure money, officer, by the number of medals to his name, of course. Common knowledge in military circles. Is he so? That portrait of Mr. Greben is glaring at me, I swear. Have you noticed that all the little frames contain photographic prints of Mr. Greben as well? Yes, and there seems to be a statue of a lion on the mantelpiece as well. Oh yes, seemed to come back from the local pawnbroker. That little trinket. Seemed to come back? What do you mean? The chap who runs the place is a bally wizard. Went in to sell him something and came out with that thing. And the point, in fact, now that I think about it, I rather often find myself leaving the place with something I don't need. The lion ornament certainly does seem surplus to requirements. South Descent doesn't pull her punches, or her throws for that matter. Yeah, it really do. I'll look over here real quick, like. No? Ooh, we can see a thing. This window looks over at Burp Road, where the young woman was attacked. Well, yes, I can make out the policeman on the far side of the road investigating the crime scene. The glass is rather murky, isn't it? Can't see very clearly. Is that thing open at all, I wonder? I shouldn't underestimate the bitterness of a London winter, sir. Sorry? As soon as you open the window, the tea will freeze in the pot. No London would be opening windows at dusk in the middle of winter, I assure you. Seems very unlikely that these two would have seen anything of the incident then. Well, Oh, this looks all broken. Why is it broken? Look at this cookery on display here. It's rather unusual, isn't it? Oh my, a genuine London dresser. Isn't it delightful? All the shelves seem to be broken. And the crockery is, oh dear, it's in pieces. It really is the word cracked when it did that Chinaware, it really is the word cracked. I wouldn't do that Chinaware justice. Ah, I wonder. Perhaps the cannon was fired at it. Yes, probably something like that. But let's not delve too deeply here. Right? It kind of does look like that. Oh, look! What a wonderful collection of cakes lined up on the gleaming silver cake stand. Lined up? Looks more like someone has half demolished them to me. Afternoon tea is a time of indulgence, you know. It is quite the English way. It is for Mr. Garbinded, as custom to take 2 cakes of his tea. That sounds delightful. Oh, wait a minute though. There are at least 10 cakes on this cake stand. Well, naturally, it would never do to waste the leftovers. So whatever Mr. Gervin doesn't eat, I say to myself, Jonah, you shall have to tidy up. How magnanimous of you. I have to tidy up. This little candle holder looks a little out of place here, wouldn't you say? Yes, you're right. It's clearly supposed to be gold, but it's almost completely black for some reason. That old thing? Yes. Just a cheap piece of iron, menagerie. Give him cracked, really. Oh. Used it when I was studying, don't you know? For my commission. I know it's old, hardly worth hanging on to, really. But well, it still has its uses sometimes. Of course. Does everything in this room have some elaborate story behind it? They're memories, Mr. Naruto. Memories. Memory. Okay, so I guess we could look at them. Good day to you, John Gribbin, at your service. Pleased to meet you, sir. This is Renosuke Naruto. He is a defense lawyer. Do excuse me not getting up. Took a shot to the knee a few years back in the Battle of Menwan, don't you know? And in middle for my pains, but had to withdraw from service. Handed over the reins to the up-and-comes. So he's a retired soldier? It's a hell of a job getting up and down stairs now, I tell you. Don't get out much, as you can imagine. It's quite a climb here to the 2nd floor, isn't it? I was panting on top of the stairs. You really should take more exercise, Mr. Naruto. Ugh, do you think so? Well, Mr. Carbon, no doubt, you were very courageous to earn yourself a medal. Oh, it was nothing. The medal's just a foldery, really. Wouldn't like to offend the general, though, so I grudgingly display it on the wall. Why don't you fetch it down, Jonah? It is good people say it properly. Jonah, fetch it. Ah! Dash it, woman! Be careful! Oh, dearie me! I do beg your pardon, sir. You jolly nearly took the skin off my hands. I should be more careful, sir. So anyway, there you have it. Living the quiet life now? Yes, I see. Now then, I hear you want to know about the chap lodging downstairs, is that right? Yes, we would be very grateful if you could answer some questions for us. Only too pleased, naturally. Especially if it helps to keep the peace here in Blight. We forged an alliance with the Empire of Japan recently, as I'm sure you're aware. So this case is very much in the public eye, as it were. Oh, is it? Even had some famous detective poking around, you know? This old house, would you believe? Yes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Well, could have been, don't catch the cap's name. Not really my cup of tea, all the detective business. Oh, but you have a copy of us magazine here, don't so... Oh, what? Oh, no, Anyway, the chap's investigating the foreigner's room as we speak. So he's in Saseki-san's room. It's a bad nuisance is what it is. The whole neighborhood's twitching its curtains now. Don't like all this fuss. It's jolly unsettling. Okay. Can you go back here real quick? So I'd have to go back to them if I want to do that. That's weird. That's how I have to do it. Yeah, that's it. Okay. About the incident 2 days ago. It seems that the incident took place at around 5 in the evening. Did you happen to look out the window around the time? A window? Yes, we noticed that the window over there looks out over Brim Road. The incident took place on the pavement, just on the far side of the street. Was there anyone suspicious loitering nearby? 5 o'clock is dinner time in the Gribbon household. So I'm afraid I don't remember seeing anything. How about you, Jonah? No, sir. It would have been dusk outside already at that hour. With fog as well, I should think it would have been quite impossible to see the other side of the road. Oh, I see. Did you notice anything else out of the ordinary then? Such as... anything at all, even if it seems unrelated. Well... Yes? Was there something, then? Well, something particularly significant, but at around the sort of time... For the love of God, Jonah! Watch what you're doing! Oh, dearie me! What have I done? I'm awfully sorry, sir. Would you be more careful, woman? Of course, sir. If I may, Mr. Narrow Hollow. Oh, yes? I have exceedingly good memory as far as I remember. Nothing of any significance took place here in that hour. Nothing at all. Oh, really? Mr. Grevin? You were talking before, it sounded rather like there might have been. Oh, well, as I say, the trifling matter was nothing of... Ah! Jonah, dash it all! What is the matter with you, woman? Begging your pardon, sir. Nothing happened. Yes, quite. Nothing happened. We sat down to the quiet and eventful meal. Jonah? That's right, Mr. Evan. What is the matter with these two? Sounds like something happened here in the room on the evening of the incident. But what? Wish I knew. Okay, about Mr. Natsumi. About Mr. Natsumi then. Mr. Grevin? Please do tell us. Oh yes, the Japanese chap. Well, I've been lodging here for a week. Oh, just 1 week? So you moved in very recently then? I had 2 lodges most of the time. One on the ground floor and one just below us. First floor became available a few weeks ago. See you happening! Dash it, Jonah! Do be careful! Oh, my goodness! I'm terribly sorry, sir. You want to know my opinion? I thought he was a shady sort from the moment I set eyes on him. Oh, why? He seemed to have a most nervous disposition, always shaking and looking over his shoulder. The man had shady written across his sweaty soaked brow, if you ask me. I said to myself, Jonah, that man is trouble. Sooner or later, he's going to do something untoward. And I'm afraid, I'm rarely wrong about anything. I wouldn't be calling that Spade as a witness, that's for sure. Was there anything else that struck you as suspicious about the man at all? Yes, oh yes, indeed there was. And she's dying to tell us. The Shady Lodger. You notice anything else on, at all about the lodger, Mr. Natsumi? Oh my word, yes. The man was shadier than an orchard. Could you elaborate? Well, take the man's room. Absolutely stuffed full of books it is. More than anyone could ever read. He never so much as passes the time of day with another living soul. Hadn't seen a single visitor call. He just trots out to the old bookshop every single day and comes back a fire to light the gas fire. And the fun little man is up along past the time everyone else in the house has gone to bed, too. Oh, I see. The gentleman on the ground floor goes to bed around 9 each night. I've never known that Japanese fella to retire any earlier than 2 in the morning. That's me! I'm the Japanese fellow. I don't go any earlier than 2, mostly 3. Ah. Could you clarify something, I wonder? What, pray? How do you know so much about Mr. Natsumi's schedule? Oh. I understood that neither of the Lodgers live on this floor of the house, is that correct? That's right, yes. They're both below us, and the first floor and the street level. Then how is it that you know so much about the lives of your Lodgers? The precise times that they come back in the evening, for example. Even the times they go to bed. Ah! Good grief, Jonah! Be more careful, woman! Oh my goodness, sir. I'm terribly sorry, sir. Something doesn't add up here. At Mr. Natsumi's room. What about it? Hey? Can you tell us which floor Mr. Natsumi room is on? Why, certainly. Just below us on the first floor. Mr. Slomes is investigating there, even as we speak. Yes. Told me that's his name. Asked him to look into the matter, so I gave him the key. Mr. Natsumi has engaged Mr. Slome's services? That's a blatant lie. Would it be alright if we also had a look around in Mr. Natsumi's room, I mean? Don't see why not. It's just down one flight of stairs. Unless if we'll find anything that could help us with the case, we have to try. We need all the clues we could lay our hands on, shall we? Yes, and while we're there, we can speak with Mr. Slomes again. Perhaps we'll be able to tell us more. Okay. Time to talk to Mr. Slomes. Yeah, we can't look behind here. Dang. Okay. Making our way downtown on this thing. 19th February, Mr. Natsumi's room. There's a kitty cat! It's a kitty cat! What? Just look at this place. And smell it. It's so musty in here. Suppose it's the mountains of old books that are responsible for that. I don't think I've ever seen so many books in all my life. No, me either. It's so dark in here, too. Is that the window over there? Well, it was the window, I think. Yes. Once upon a time. For some reason, it's been closed up with bricks and mortar. So this is where Mr. Natsumi lives. By the way, I haven't spotted Mr. Schlums anywhere. Have you? No, that's true. But according to Mr. Grebin, told us, the great detective should be around here somewhere investigating. Ooh. Not here. Okay. Look at all these books stacked up there. They almost reach the ceiling. They're all works of English literature, and they all smell so musty. With this volume of books to hand, you'd never be short of reading material, would you? No. What a dreamy idea. Bad dream, maybe. For me, at least. Mind you, I don't imagine the book that's at the bottom of the pile now will ever be read again. So reading is an experience that comes but once a lifetime, just as a tea ceremony teaches us. So I didn't expect the conversation to turn down to the path of tea ceremony philosophy. Right? I will have to look at the cat soon. The desk seems to be wedged into a crevasse between the mountains of books on either side. I suppose Mr. Natsumi would sit there and read while stroking his cat? He's surrounded on all sides by this towering old tombs. Surely he dreamt of books every night as well. Yes, he must have done, mustn't he? Oh, what's this? It's a receipt from the second-hand bookshop. Your books. I guess Mr. Natsumi's name is on it. To look. On a date of purchase. 2 days ago at 4:45 p.m. It's the day of the incident. That's just a short while before he was embroidered in a terrible attack. He must have been on his way back from buying some old books. Yeah, we got it. Oh my god, he's here. Do. He's just like reading. Okay. So we will look at cat, and then look at cat again. Oh look! It's a beckoning cat from home. It's a bit big and bulky, isn't it? Surely Mr. Natsumi didn't bring that Maneki Neko all the way from Japan with him. I hardly think you're in the position to comment, Mr. Naruto-san. Are you forgetting that enormous Durama doll that you brought in your luggage? Well, it can be dangerous traveling aboard. I want a lucky charm. Well, I imagine Mr. Natsumi wanted the same. This cat is surely to begun to beckon good luck for him. It's not doing a very good job so far, is it? You mustn't say such things. I didn't say a word. Are my eyes such a giveaway? They just are, my dude. Like, honestly. Oh. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Look at all these balls of paper on the floor. There are notes scrawled all over them. In English. It's like the waste paper basket is so full that they've just fallen out. I think Mr. Natsumi must have been deeply immersed in his research, don't you? Or deeply averse to tidying up his mess. I wouldn't like to speculate which is closer to the truth. Speculate. 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 Oh, little meow meow! Little meow 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 meow! Oh my, what adorable little cat! Perhaps he's looking after all the books while his master is away. I don't know about that. He disappeared into the pile of books as quickly as a flash. It was a tricolored Mikey, wasn't it? Did they even have that sort of cat here in Great Britain? Perhaps Mr. Natsumi brought the little creature with him from Japan. It's making me feel homesick now. Already? We've only been in the country for 2 days. You've been traveling for like a month. This appears to be some sort of meter on the wall here. Looks very rubbish. Wonder what's it for. There's a slot for inserting coins here too. I believe this is a gas meter, Mr. Naruto. A gas meter? Yes, it seems there is piped gas in this district, which customers pay for by putting coins in the meter. So, if we were to put a coin in the slot, that would be enough to use the lights and the gas fire for a whole night. So if you're too poor to have a coin, you have to spend the night in the dark and freezing cold? That's right. As would a rich man who only carried crisp white notes. London is such a scary place. It really is. It do be scary. Can you even call us a window? I think so. It was a window at one time, after all. Although all that remains is a frame around some bricks now. So really just a wall then, isn't it? But why would anyone deliberately break it up like that? I'm afraid I have no idea. Ah! Perhaps Mr. Natsumi painted the brick a design in a fit of whimsy. Ugh, it's alarmingly feasible. Anyway, whatever the reason, the lack of ventilation in here makes the place very oppressive. It does? I imagine being cooped up in a room like this to be extremely trying. I feel like that's the same thing. But okay, whatever. Well, Meow Meow went away. That makes me sad that the cat went away. Alright, Mr. Shlomes. What are you up to? Ah! Look, Mr. Naruto! Aha! There he is! Where did he appear from? He seems to be engrossed in the pages of an old book. I hope you won't mind if we disturb him. Hello, Mr. Shlomes? Ah, you too! Good day! Now, let me see. Oh, where was it that we met? Oh, Mr. Shlomes, we were together on the SS Bruja. Yes, of course, the Bruja. Let me see. What happened on that voyage? It was Kazuma Asogi. He died, tragically. But you were a great help to us. Ah, yes, but of course, the case of Mr. Osagi. Asogi, not Asagi. It was the one with the snake, wasn't it? Oh. Well, you seem to remember something of it, at least. What an honor to be remembered vaguely by the great Herlock Shlomes. This is, Mr. Oh, no, my dear madam. Hold your tongue. I pride myself on my superior powers of recollection. Your names are safely recorded in my brain app. Well, better than in Mind Palace. Miss Naruto. And Mr. Susato. Try the other way around, Mr. Shlomes. I lose the first round! In truth, I had hoped to invite you both to my Baker Street suite the day we arrived in London. But one Scotland Yarders ambushed me in the railway station and whisked me away to the crime scene. It was an entirely trivial case, of course. I solved the matter in no more than 30 minutes. So they apprehended Sasuke-san in that short of amount of time? I'm afraid that persistence? I hate this! Why can't words just be read better? Huh? If a new case was dulled, my recollection of my past involvements a little. It's a mistake to think that one's brain attic was elastic walls can distend to any extent. I do my best to forget useless facts. At least they should elbow out the useful ones. Yes, those are my words of inedible wisdom. You know, from a venture entitled A Study in Scarlet. Please, there's no need to quote yourself. I don't always remember my pearls of wisdom, but you, fortunately, my associates pens them beautifully. It means Iris, I suppose. Mr. Shlomes? We have some extremely important questions to ask you about the trivial case you just mentioned. Goodness, what an earnest expression. My dear madam, I should be only too pleased. This murky room is an apt place to discuss the murky case. Okay, let's present him with this. shabam. Mr. Naruto, please. Despite aspersions to the contrary, I am a professional. If I intend to unleash my detective powers on that trinket, I must ask for a sum of 3 pounds in cash. Oh, I don't need you to make any introductions about it. I was just wondering if you might know. Mr. Naruto, as a professional, I insist that if I am to offer my opinion on that trinket, I must ask for a sum of 3 pounds in cash. I believe Mr. Slums has his eye on an expensive copy of complete works of Shakespeare. Yes, to stand on the stage amid rapturous applause has long been a dream of mine, as you know. I literally had no idea. Okay, what do you know about, well, maybe not the second half of the season. Okay, commerce. Yes, the landlord. Tell me, have you encountered the landlord of this lodgings? Yes, Mr. Grebin. Retired military man. It was the first time I've ever met a soldier from the great British institution, that is, the services. And it was the first time I ever met a maid from the great British institution, that is, service. I didn't think it was that funny. I do apologize. As you may well be aware, many households in London employ a maid. Yes, I read as much in my Great Britain primer. And so controversially, whether or not a household employs a maid has come to betoken the social status of those dwelling therein. Betoken their social status? Sorry? Put simply, my dear fellow, those who employ at least a single maid are considered middle class. Those who do not are beneath them. In the upper echelons of society, of course, households employ enough staff to constitute a large family. Goodness, how extraordinary. As you can appreciate, for those on the precarious boundary between the middle and lower class, being able to afford just one maid is of the first importance. I had no idea. And it's for precisely that reason that I find great stimulation in the situation upstairs. Specifically in the retired Army veteran, Mr. John Gribbon. Oh? Affable as he is, the fellow is hiding something. Whether or not this imposes the circumstances of this case, I am as yet unable to assert. I'm thoroughly lost on what he means to say. Okay, he's a rest then. We know this as to be the lodgings of the Japanese foreign student by the name of Sosuke Natsumi. It seems that you assisted in his arrest, Mr. Slums? For the stabbing of a young woman outside here on Rip Road? Natsumi, yes. I believe it was a name rather along those lines. But Mr. Natsumi denies it. Was it really justifiable to arrest him on so little? I'm sorry, Mrs. Sato, but I have not the slightest idea what you mean. What? I can't believe he's looking Sato Sato-san squarely in the eye while feigning ignorance. I assure you, I'm not merely feigning ignorance. It appears that the pair of you are under some misapprehension. Oh, how? I assure you I have no recollection of accusing your astute compatriot of the crime. That doesn't make sense. The good detective of Scotland Yard made the following request of me. I quote verbatim. We need you to assert the identity and whereabouts of the man seen fleeing this crime scene. A man seen fleeing. There were a number of books scattered on the pavement of the scene. From the book plates, I was quickly able to determine the bookshop from which they had been purchased. On speaking with the proprietor, I was immediately led to this address. Elementary, wouldn't you say? But there was a receipt around here somewhere from the establishment in question. So you don't think Mr. Natsumi is the culprit then? Then I could not tell you. But it was aggravating in my facilities, hence why I returned here. However, this place is such a trouble of fascinating books. I found myself quite lost in bibliophilia. Do not be deceived into believing that a man of leisure. That I am a man of leisure. No, 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 no. Oh dear. Okay. The dingy room. This room is thoroughly suffocating for the soul, my dear fellow. I assure you, any man whose lot is to dwell in a place such as this will stab somebody sooner or later. Mr. Natsumi has stabbed no one. Ah, but sooner or later, as I said. I don't believe that's the issue here. About this dark little room, Mr. Slomes. Why is there no longer a window? Do you have any idea? No window. Well, I mean, I could clearly see there's a window of sorts. And it's just been completely blocked off with bricks. Ah, I see. The answer to that question is quite simple. Window tax. Window tax? What is that? Surely not a tax on windows. Precisely that. Oh my goodness. I bet this is an actual thing too. Until relatively recently, a tax was levied on households in this country by the number of their windows. Those of lesser means, having inherited a sizable and costly family home perhaps, rapidly closed windows up, while the rich opened windows here and there and everywhere, in an effort to curry favor with those in power by flourishing them with large sums of tax money. How awful and unjust, forcing people to live in rooms devoid of light. Indeed, disease was rife as a result. So some 40 years or thereabout, the window tax was abolished. But its legacy remains, as you can see. A squat-lit lodging such as these, for example. I suppose Mr. Natsumi's stipend for living here in London isn't very generous, perhaps. It would appear so. Done a little dig, and discovered that these lodgings were offered at an extraordinarily low price. Because the room is so awful, I should think. Apparently, Mr. Natsumi only moved in here about 1 week ago. Yes, that's correct. However, I don't believe the low rent is explained by the shabby nature of the accommodation. Oh? Still, that is a little relevance here. A matter not worthy of further attention. Are you sure? I'm curious now. Well, I believe I told you all I can now. Thank you, Mr. Slums. Ah, yes. Mr. Nato, though. Was it not your intention to become a practitioner of law? You remember that, did you? Would you perhaps be offering your services in this very matter, I wonder? To the occupant of this room, Mr. Natsumi, was it? I'm not sure. Not sure? On what grounds? Well, I actually defended someone in court here only yesterday. Really? Well then, I congratulate you, sir, on an ambition realized, and so promptly, too. The thing is, it's really made me question things. Am I right to believe in my clients? To trust in their innocence? Yes, trust. Mr. Slomes? Mr. Natsumi didn't do it, did he? My dear fellow, I haven't the first idea. Oh, but I thought that's why you were here. Didn't you come back to investigate? Ah, yes. That was indeed my initial intention. But there are simply too many fascinating books here. I couldn't possibly ignore them. Oh, I see. Nevertheless, there are 2 facts that I could state quite eloquently. The man who fled the scene of the crime 2 days ago was the Japanese occupant of this room. And there are witnesses who swear to having seen the same man commit the crime. That is all I could say. One more thing. Oh, what is it, Mr. Slums? Tell us. I'm not saying with any certainty whether or not it is of relevance to this case, but I am quite sure that the retired army man who owns this property is hiding something. Mr. Garvin is? Mr. Slums said as much before, actually, didn't he? Anyway, at present, that is really all that plays on my mind in relation to this case. Mr. Naruto, as yet our investigation haven't uncovered nothing that can help establish Mr. Natsume's innocence. No, you're right. Perhaps it's time we prodded a little deeper into Mr. Garvin's secret. Just remember, you cannot be sure whether the landlord's secret will prove to be of relevance or not. But I wish you every success, of course, Mr. Naruto. Busy man indeed. He's gone back to his book in the corner of the room. Okay. Can I see? He literally has. Excuse me, Mr. Slomes? Yes, so true. To be or not to be. That is indeed the question, Mr. Naruto. To be or not to be brushed off. That is the question. The answer is all too clear. Let's leave Mr. Slums in peace, shall we? I guess we shall. And we only have like 3 pieces of evidence. I guess we like move on to another thing? Yeah, we probably move on here or to prison or some such. But for now, I think this is a nice area to end it off. And yeah, I think we're having a really good time here and everything. So with that being said, thank you all so much for joining me in on this little fun little adventure. It's a pleasure having you all around. Thank you so much, Grandpa's Ghost, and what was the full name? I can't remember the full name of the other person. Easy Lily. Thank you so much for rating and everything. Thank you, Hero X Erica, for the follow. Thank you, Genero, for showing up and having a time. Cactar and Rar, thank you so much as well. And yeah, let's see if we could show some love to somebody else, yeah? This is a nice little one. It's a little VTuber that I know of. I hope you can show them some love just as I do unto you and you do unto me. So, yeah. Till next time, everybody. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate your time here, and I shall see you all later, okay? Sayonara! Oh, we're not even done yet. Okay, sayonara! Bye-bye!